how to build an automation around YouTube script generation that delivers while you're sleeping. This automation through make.com combines deep research with 3 separate prompts and then finally combining this research to write a well-structured script. Since there is no gatekeeping, you will be able to download this very automation system for free and make it your own. Before digging deep into every single step, I would like to just show you what is part of this automation. First up, I have a Google Sheet that actually hosts all of my ideas that I want to create the content for. Secondly, I have a router which divides into 3 different steps. The first step is to do a research based on authentic sources from perplexity.com. Then I'm actually getting into how, what, and why of a particular topic as part of the integration with Claude. And finally, I'm getting into Perplexity to understand about the audience that will be interested in our topic and give us SEO list that we can eventually embed into our overall script. As soon as we have the output from first to integration, I'm actually putting it into the tool, adding it into another variable so that we can later use it when we have the final output coming from our final prompt. The first step over here is to configure your Google Sheets. Once we go into Google Sheet, which is what we want to do as part of this trigger, is to either watch new rows if that's what you're looking to, or the second common one is to watch for all the changes. It triggers the automation whenever a change is detected in the sheet. Addition of new column, deletion of new column, update or delete. For our automation, we will be using watch changes. The first step is to create a webhook. And once I create a webhook, I can actually name this webhook. We'll call it maybe YouTube script or automation. Once I complete that, I will go in and it should give me this whole URL here. I can actually copy this, and basically what you have to do is to go back to your sheet. So this is a sheet I will be using. So I've already done this step as part of my full automation process, but just to show you, the first step is go into extensions and do an add-on. You should be able to find make.com add-on, make.com. Let's do this. Interesting thing is that it's not really showing the make.com logo anymore over here. I'm not sure what's happening, but this is the one you have to select. Once you select, then you have to move to extensions again, select settings. Once you can see the settings, you can basically add your webhook at this point. And also here, I think it doesn't make a difference if you add it to perform a function, but actually just do it. And you can then save it. I've already done this step and I'm gonna just move on. Once it's done, you should be able to run this. Once we have completed the first step of configuring the Google Sheet, I've added the router. Again, as I first explained, I want to do 3 different searches and want to bring all the data and all the research together. Once we have that configured, I would like us to configure the perplexity.com. Within the Perplexity, you have to go into your Perplexity account and look out for API key. And to do that, I can briefly show you where you will go to the settings, and within settings, you will have something like API, and you should be able to see your API key at the bottom. In most of the AI tools, to get the API key, you need to add some credit to your account. As you can see, I've only added $5 and it's still going strong. Once you have that API key, you can then choose the model that you want to use for your research. I'm just using the llama here, which seems good enough. Then I've actually added, as part of the message and content, I've added my full prompt. So what I'm saying is conduct an in-depth analysis of the topic that we have selected from our Google Sheet. Utilize a diverse range of credible sources to provide a well-rounded understanding of the subject. Your research should include academic papers, Harvard Business Review, top consulting firms like McKinsey, Deloitte, and other. So that's just the first research, okay? Once we have added the content, you have to add the role, and mostly user is good enough. You don't need to worry about anything else, and just save it. Once you save it, you can basically just run this particular model without having to run anything else. I also added the tool module. This allows me to store the output generated by Perplexity into this particular variable. So I'm only calling it prompt1. Very creative, isn't it? So within here, as you can see, I've actually choose the message content. So essentially you have to go into the content message, and that's where the full detail or the full output for this particular prompt is stored. Secondly, I've actually gone to Claude is very strong when it comes to well-structured research. I'm sure you have seen every time you give a query or prompt to Claude, it always ends up producing a very structured document, and it's so easy to follow along. So I felt like this is what I want to do. Anthropic website, you can go to API keys, and that's where your key would be. At this point, I'm actually using the latest model of Claude. I'm also adding the maximum token. Then I'm actually getting into the message. Similar to Perplexity, I'm using a role as a user. Then the type of output I'm looking for is text at this point only. I want Claude to go ahead and bring about the why, the what, and how for my subject that I'm researching for. So at this point, I'm basically selecting where the topic detail is stored. So I have to go to row, and this is where my topic information is sitting. Once again, I'm selecting the same topic. See, I'm super creative. Importance of storytelling and how to master this skill set. Once that configured, I've said save and all done. Similar to Perplexity, I've actually gone to tools and I've created very original variable name, which is called prompt2, and added the output from Claude into this particular variable. So finally, I'm doing another research through Perplexity, and this time I'm actually looking for SEO keywords, the audience, and who would be interested in my subject matter, and what are the keywords that I should be including in my research that will eventually perform better. Similar to all the other ones, select your connection type, choose your model, go into pasting your prompt and your user, and that's you done. I have two variables set, and I have the output from the last model. At this time, I'm using, instead of set, I'm using get variable. So get variable is allowing me to get this particular variable. So this time I'm getting prompt1 and prompt2. And I've already have the information about this output at this point. So then I've gone into my final Perplexity prompt, and this is similar to as the one I've shown in my last video around creating a well-structured script which gives the context of where the information is coming from. And this time I'm very specific that I'm telling the prompt that get the information from this variable, and this particular variable, and based on only this collected information, now write the rest of the script. So I've given the writing style, I've given the planning, I've given the various tasks it needs to produce, and conclusion. I've moved into the final step. What will happen with the final generated output? I want make.com to add this output back into my Google Sheet. Okay, at this point, I'm asking Google Sheet to add the output from the final script of Perplexity, which is stored here in choices, message, and this, into the column C of the sheet. Now I'm going to go ahead and run this whole thing. I'm going to use the existing content. You don't always have to go back and forth into the sheet to update and then do your testing. So I'm going to run this. As you can see, it's going ahead and doing the first step. Takes a little while, but it should be all right. So yes, we have already some generated output in this variable, and secondly, it has gone and added the information from our second prompt into something here around how, what, and why. And final one is definitely here, where you should be able to go here, go into message one, and you can look into the content for SEO keywords and the audience and stuff like that. Once you have done that, you can come here and look into the final output from Perplexity around the full script, and this is pretty big. So we have already asked it to add into the Google Sheet. I'm going to move back into the Google Sheet, and I can see that it has added all of this information here. It has generated a lot of content. This is the output, finally a little bit structured output here. And I want to now compare this side by side with the research that I've done in my last video through the combination of Perplexity and using the Notebook LM, and also uploading loads of authentic sources and journals directly into Notebook LM. I'm actually still loving the hook. Did you know that 92% of consumer prefer brand that tell compelling stories in today's digital world? And in this one is saying, did you know that the stories stuck to our mind 22 times better than the statistics in today's noisy world? Blah, blah, blah. And then it went into introduction. It has given me enough, make your content engaging, create an emotion, and then getting into the 5 key points. I've got a really detailed introduction over here, and then getting into the key point analysis. There is a lot to go through, and I'm sure this is definitely not the final output. You still have to do a little bit more work to make it more human-like and not very generic, but it has given you enough to start with as a baseline. Imagine you do this baseline research for your 100 different topics, and hopefully this will free up your time to do other kind of research. What is trending? What should be the topic that you should focus on? The topics that you want to leave it on, as they might not attract as many views. You can go into other important aspects of YouTube content creation than actually having to spend time on just the research part. Automation tools like these one can give you very decent start for your subject matter. So I will be using this for my baseline research for loads and loads of topics that are coming up in my head. Please don't forget to leave your comment, what type of automation you are using and where you would like me to create more automation. That's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.